Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Death by Podcast, the world's greatest horror movie podcast and beyond. I'm your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
Slick Willie.
Yeah.
Folks, we just recorded our Patreon podcast, BoobTube TV, where we talked about Simpsons Treehouse of Horror Season 8, so it's episode 7 of that. You should check it out. It was really good. That's where my my really good Slick Willie joke came from. Patreon.com/Death by Podcast. Anyway, thanks for tuning into the show. Episode 92, Kevin.
92.
We won't hit 100 until next season, but when we do, God damn it, it's going to be big.
Yep, big deal.
I don't know what, but also I didn't say this on the Patreon because I wanted to keep it a surprise, but some people know I do toys, AC toy design, blah blah blah. I'm gonna give away on the Patreon. You probably can't see it because it's white and washed out right now, but I'm gonna be giving away. We haven't done a giveaway in a while.
No, we haven't.
Not since what was it? It was D. Brumfeld, I believe, won our DVD. Which DVD was that? Demon Night.
Demon Night.
Yeah, last season. I've been messing around with some resin again, and I've got some of my amazing Chud Baby. There you go.
Oh, cool.
Figures. I'm going to be giving a hand-painted Chud Baby away on the Patreon to the next person that joins. So if you join before Halloween, today's the 18th, if you're listening to this, join the Patreon. I'm going to send you one of my Chud Babies. I'm also going to be giving another one away to just the people who are there right now.
Oh, that's cool.
I got 2 of them. Okay. I wanted to tell people that again. It's patreon.com/Death by Podcast. We got some stuff to talk about. Let's see. You were mentioning before we're recording about Frasier. You watching Frasier?
Yeah. So I watched the 2 new ones. There's only 2 out so far of the reboot, and
no spoilers.
I've been binging the old series.
Right.
And I'm on season 3. I watched like the first 2 seasons in a week.
Yeah.
It's like 50 episodes.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what's funny is like most shows, you know, like we were gonna do Cheers, and Cheers takes a little while to get rolling, you know, and like I was never a big fan of
Shelley Long.
Yeah, Diane, and you know, like the first season is a little hit or miss of Cheers, and like so we did Frasier because like the new Frasier. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil anything.
Yeah.
It's so far so good. It's not, you know, it's not the original, but he's
you think
so
that's
good.
Because of the cast?
Yeah, but like, there's no Niles and there's no Martin.
Yeah, it's too
there's
bad.
not even. I mean, literally, they're not there. But like,
I know.
The new cast can't hold a candle to the old cast.
Yeah,
but he's so good. Like he's Frasier, like
he's
hardcore,
so good.
And
so good.
And it makes up for a lot.
That's
and
awesome.
Niles' kid is on it.
Okay.
And so far, the first 2 episodes, he's not on it that much, but he is in it, and he's funny. He comes like I'm sure they mention it, but I knew right away. I'm like, oh, that's Niles' kid. Like immediately. Yeah, he's got a like he's weirdo. Yeah, but it's
it's Frasier's kid and Niles' kid. It's Freddie and what's Niles' kid's name?
I forget.
Is it Julian?
No. And then it's also the other cast members are
it's like one of his
Freddie's roommate.
Okay.
And he's working Frasier working at Harvard.
Spit it out.
So it's his boss. It's his like the woman, the dean, I guess, of Harvard or of the department.
Okay.
And one of his like old colleagues, one of his like good friends who also works at Harvard.
Yeah.
That makes up the whole cast.
That's awesome. I mean, I've said before, Frasier's my favorite show of all time. And I've watched all 11 seasons almost a dozen times. It's crazy. But I haven't watched it in a while, and I'm going to wait until all the episodes because I think it's only 12.
I bet it's only 12. There's no way there's 24.
It's on Paramount. But I'm going to wait until it's
wild
to binge it.
So I watched the last 4 or 5 episodes of Cheers just to be like, where was he at coming out of Cheers? Was he divorced yet? Or he was married at the end of at the end of Cheers, he's married. And then at the beginning of Frasier, he's divorced. And they get into it later. But like, I went my whole life, and I had watched Cheers when it was on. I was young, but like I've rewatched it, and I always thought that Sam sells the bar at the end of the show.
He sells the bar. He sells the bar the season before Kirstie Alley comes in, because they introduce Kirstie Alley when they introduce her character, which is like season 5 or 6.
Yeah,
that first episode of that season, Sam had sold the bar.
Oh yeah, he sells the bar, but he gets it back.
Gone out on a boat. He eventually gets it back.
Yeah, he gets it. That's a storyline in like season like 7 or 8. Yeah, I knew that, but I thought the show ended with him not selling the bar, but closing the bar, like the bar. And I don't know why I took it that way. I think because the last thing is at the end, he like looks at the window at the guy and says, "We're closed," and that's how the show ends.
I love it.
Like, scene. Oh, he still owns the bar. So Cheers is still, and then I'm now watching. I watched the episode where Sam comes back on Frasier, because that's in season 2, and he's giving updates on everybody. Like, no, the bar's still there, and Norm's still there. Like, I was like, oh shit. So like, hypothetically, they could.
They should. Frasier, if they don't,
they could pull. They do that on the new Picard show. One of the things is like he gets the whole crew together, and then they destroy the thing is the ship gets destroyed in one of the movies. So like you're like, oh cool, the whole crew's back together, but they're on this kind of silly. It's fine. It's just a starship though.
Stupid ship.
But they have to. At one point, they have to hide out and get a different ship.
Yeah,
and it turns out that Geordi's been restoring the old ship, and like they kind of have to bend over backwards to explain it because the ship exploded. But
that's silly. That's silly. Works. That's silly Star Trek people.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, man, and you know me, I don't like, you make fun of me for the fucking Crunchwrap wrapper that bugs me in Ghostbusters. When they got on the old shit, when they went on the old bridge and they're walking around, I was like, fuck yeah, this is where it's at. And because the reason made sense. It was like, I mean, it'd been 30 years. He'd spent most of the time restoring it. And
Jordan LaForge is just like rebuilding the whole thing, just by himself.
Well, he also runs like a
butterfly in the sky, and he's like, taping some shit.
But he also runs like a museum shipyard for like retired ships. Yeah. So like Voyager's in there, and the NC, like the original, not the original ship, but the refitted version is there, and not even the refit. The refit got blown up in the third one.
Oh no!
But anyway, Getting back to that, but Frasier, if they went back to Cheers,
they have to. I know it's already out there that. Well, I don't want to spoil.
Well, I don't want to know. I'm the only thing I'm assuming, is that, and I don't know who's coming back or what they're doing. I'm assuming that Lilith's coming back.
Yeah, they've said that.
Well, because she comes back, I don't know if she's in every season. I think there's 1 or 2 where she's not in it, but she's in almost every season, at least
Frasier,
once. Yeah, and which makes sense.
She's a big.
I hope he ends up with her, at the end of this season.
Like in Cheers, it's funny because they introduce Frederick in Cheers, but I don't even, maybe his name's not Freddie.
It is
Cheers, but in Frasier it is, and
his name. Yeah, he's born on Cheers. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things that ever happened on Cheers is when they're trying to get him to say his first word.
Yeah,
like the whole episode.
Yeah,
and then you remember what it is?
I don't remember.
At the very end, they're like, well, all right, well, he'll talk when he talks, because he's like way behind. He should have, they're trying to get him to talk the whole time. Yeah, at the end, Norm walks in and the baby goes, Norm. It's great.
That's awesome. I feel the other way. I loved all the episodes, and we'll get away from Cheers and Frasier, but I love all the episodes of Cheers, but I like the Diane episodes better than the Kirstie Alley ones.
Oh,
she annoys me so much. I know Diane is also an annoying character, so it's like, it's crazy.
Well, also, like, it's funny because once it's always like, it's funny that, like, the show is a bunch of like blue collar guys, and then like you've got Diane who's like, like real hoity toity, and like it kind of works. But then once you have Frasier, you don't need her anymore. Like, he's better at it.
He is, but in Cheers, he's not as stuck up as he is.
Yeah, exactly. He works so much better than she does, because he blends in with them. But like they keep bringing in these like snobby character. Like, I love Lilith, but like,
Yeah.
and I'm fine with her, but even it's interesting that they kept doing that.
In Frasier, it's amped up, and it's arguably the best part of his
It is.
character is how snobby he is.
It's
him and his
hysterical,
brother.
man.
It's so good.
There's the one episode where they're trying to get in. They're in the exclusive club, and they finally get in. And then once they're in the club, they realize there's
another
a deeper level of there's a deeper
level
of exclusivity, and then they're disgusted with the one that they're allowed in. It's
it's so awesome.
Yeah, he's great in this one, man. And I will say the first episode, the it's a little, at first I was like, we're in trouble. It felt a little forced.
Okay.
Like the conflict, but by the end it kind of resolves itself. But it does be like, well, why because it's kind of like well, he doesn't know, so we have to keep this from him, we have to do all this stuff. But it's a thing where you're like, why wouldn't you just tell, this is stupid, just tell him, but
like a Mike Tobacco situation.
Kind of. It's like when you find out what the big thing, the big reveal is, it's like, well, why would you even keep that from him? That's dumb. But they also, by the end of the first episode, it's like, all right, I'm on board with this. It's like, yeah, Freddy's fine. It's gonna take some getting used to, but you do miss Niles, man.
Yeah, Niles, just that whole dynamic of the three is so great. I'm looking forward to watching it, though. You have any news before we get into what you watch?
Yeah, this is kind of neat. Oh, I also have a question after the news.
Oh, the Star Wars question.
Yeah, I have a question about Star Wars that actually came up while I was in Vegas, and I've been dying to ask you about, and I keep forgetting.
Folks, oh yeah, thanks for reminding me, and not to cut you off, but that reminds me, Kevin was in Vegas a couple weeks ago, then he got sick, so we took some time off. So make sure you check out our Friday the 13th episode and our No One Will Save You episode, which both came out over the weekend. We kind of did a binge of recording, so be sure to check those out.
So the news is kind of neat. What's it called? It's called Universal Horror Nights, Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios.
Universal Studios. Okay, no.
Yeah. So
you're not talking about Six Flags.
No. That's Fright Night. They're not Fright Night. That's what is that called?
Fright Fest.
Fright Fest. That's Fright Fest.
Yeah.
No. So at the Universal parks in Orlando and at Los Angeles,
LA,
I guess it is. Yeah, California. Every October they do the Universal. I think it's called Halloween Horror Nights. Yeah, and it's cool. And every year, if you ever YouTube it, it's cool. It's like they have a bunch of haunted houses, and a bunch of them are themed. Like they did Killer Clown stuff last year. Or they did a Ghostbusters one a couple of years ago. They did, because they own all this shit. So it's and it's every year they do brand new stuff, and it's usually for an anniversary. So they go all out. It's really awesome. If you ever look at some of these, the Ghostbusters one was really cool.
You went to it?
No, but I've watched it on YouTube every year. I didn't watch it this year.
What's on YouTube?
The tour, people walk around with a camera.
Oh, that's cool.
And do the tour. Have you ever seen any of the Star Wars rides and stuff?
No.
Oh, I gotta send you one of these. They have a ride that'll make it. They have a Star Wars ride that'll make you shit your pants. It's wild. Yeah. They're gonna make, and I saw a sign for this while I was in Vegas. Think about it, and I just saw on Blood Disgusting. It's it's going to be a permanent fixture in Vegas.
The suspense is killing me.
Sorry, it's going to be a permanent fixture in Vegas. The Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, okay.
They're going to do any
particular theme.
I'm sure they're going to change it up depending on what's out or what's popular. But it's going to be 110,000 square feet, and it's just going to be a massive horror park, basically.
That's cool.
Like a horror theme park based
on
and based on all the crazy franchises they have, which is a ton.
Maybe I'll go to Vegas someday. I had no interest in going until now.
I never thought I would ever go, and I've been there twice. And I have no desire to go.
Was both times for Skankfest?
No, just this last time. The other one was for a bachelor party.
Oh, okay. Of course, you had to reenact your.
I didn't do it. I sat and played slots for 3 days. I didn't do anything at that bachelor party.
What else? News? Any other news? You got any Toxic Avenger news? No.
I'd look at still no release date. Okay. Still no full trailer or anything. So,
all right. I got a little news tidbit. I don't know. I guess it's news. Are you familiar with the fan films, the fan made Friday the 13th movies? Never Hike Alone.
Yeah, I saw that the second one came out. I also saw there's a new thing called what the hell is it called? It's on I think Paramount or it might be Hulu. It's called like 13 Friday or something, and it's like a fan film based on like someone who's into the Friday the 13th movies and is
Right.
dressed up as yeah.
Yeah, that's out there. But it's a trilogy. It's Never Hike Alone, Never Hike in the Snow, and then Never Hike Alone 2. And I've seen the first two, but I don't remember the second one. But the first one's excellent. It's like a really good, legit movie. And they bring back the adult guy that played Tommy Jarvis, who was also in
Oh, really?
Return of the Living Dead. That guy.
Yeah, yeah. That's my favorite Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah, but from
He's the one from 6, I think.
He's the one. Yeah, he's the one that
Barry
no,
that digs him up and
6. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They dig him up and they lightning
and he
bolt.
gets struck by lightning. Yeah,
right. So he's in that, and I think he's in the new one. But the reason I bring it up is because I didn't realize this. A friend of mine, of course, I just went blank. Adam's Art Box on Instagram. He is in it. I don't know what he plays. I haven't watched it yet. Adam Michaels is his name, and he's an artist. He's an awesome artist. You follow him? Adam's Art Box?
I don't know. Maybe.
I bet you do. He's local. He's in Chicago, and he posted on his account that him and his wife are in it. They're probably extras, but he's an actor type guy. So I was gonna check it out anyway, but I thought I'd check it out, especially now, and give him a little shout out.
I do follow him, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. I figured he did. His stuff is awesome, but big horror guy. The movies though are really good. They're short. I think the first one's like an hour, the second one's like 30 minutes, and the third one's like an hour or something, hour and some change. But they're definitely, as far as fan films go, which are usually really bad.
Yeah.
These are legit. Like they're good. So
I mean, if you could, we're gonna do it with a franchise. I mean, this is the one to do it with. Like, you just need a makeup guy, and you don't
even need that because he's wearing the hockey mask. All you need is someone who can do like blood effects well.
Right.
Pretty much it. But they do. It's just like good story, good, and I think it's like a continuation, the first one, of after 9. Not so Jason X is like shoots into the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is like a continuation of after 9. I think something like that. What else? Any other news?
No, not really. I had the thing I wanted to ask you about.
Star Wars. Yeah.
Star Wars. So,
here we go.
I researched it, and it's not as big a deal as I thought it was, but it is a little bit of I remember we talked about when they changed the name of Slave One, and it was like, they're like Disney's kind of whatever.
Missing the point. Yeah.
Well, just kind of like taking the teeth out of Star Wars, when they don't have to,
In a lot of ways, yeah.
In service of what? But this one hit home. Did you hear that they're taking jizz out of continuity?
Jizz music,
yeah, and it's like for those who don't know, the type of music that they play in the Mos Eisley Cantina in the first one and in the third one. The music's called jizz, and the people that play it are called jizz wailers. And it's always been like, and it's they don't say it in the movie, but it's in like Star Wars encyclopedias and
like Lucas
it's on the box of toys and stuff.
Right.
And,
Lucas came up with that.
Right. And it was probably just a thing that he thought, whatever. And definitions of words change, and and it's just always a fun little thing. And of course, Disney has to come in and change it to Jats or whatever.
Yeah, I think just leave it alone. Like nobody even notices really.
Nobody talks. It's a fun little
it.
thing that you could just bring up. I mean, it's not as bad as Slave One, where they're taking it off of. I guess what it was they did that series, the From a Certain Point of View is the name of this book, where it's like we're gonna follow like a minor character,
right?
And they did one, and it was on Max Rebo. And that they mentioned that he plays Jats, and they don't mention jizz
really
at all. And it's
that's
like
stupid. That's stupid. I just think that like that's a term that Lucas came up with, whether people were saying it for slang before that or not. Lucas wasn't aware of what it meant on a sexual level, so he came out with it. But then our generation, the last generation, maybe the one before it, you know, uses the word a derogatory way that now Disney's thinking like if kids hear it, they're gonna quit. It's like fuck off. Like just leave it alone and don't.
It's a fun
nobody's
thing.
gonna notice.
Yeah,
Who
and
cares?
it's just like the Slave One thing, where it's like,
yeah, just leave it.
What
alone.
are you doing?
Well, they're doing. I get it because there's a Disney brand. I understand that, but my point is that by them doing it, you're making people notice.
Don't bring it. Just don't bring it up.
Just leave it alone. And also, that's more than slave. Taking the word slave out of Slave One or Slave Leia. This.
Did they take it out of Slave Leia too?
Oh yeah, she's done. She's gone. Like you can't. They'll never make another product of Slave Leia.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean they will.
Wild. I mean
they call her prisoner or something, prisoner Leia or something.
But I mean, like, do they still make toys of her in the outfit and stuff?
They haven't in a while. Like the last one.
That's iconic, man. That's a like.
I know.
That's wild.
They changed it to like prisoner Leia or something like that, but they haven't made a new toy of that in a while. But this one, I actually blame us. Like
it always annoyed me when you.
It's one of those things.
It was just always an easy. I don't know. It was always thing like you'd see girls dressed as in cons. It was like fuck off.
Well, I'm talking about like the word jizz. I had never heard that word until like as a kid. I had never heard it until I was an adult. So I don't think there's a lot of kids. Maybe now because it's used more in a derogatory way, but like I don't know. I didn't know that music was called that. I didn't. It was Star Wars music. That's what I called it.
Yeah. I don't remember what I remember because I had the Star Wars encyclopedia. In I think it was the 2000. I think it was the 2000 edition because Phantom Menace stuff was in there.
Sure.
And that was it. Like it hadn't covered the other ones. And I read it front to back, and it was like it's literally a dictionary.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know. I bet I got. I'm sure I noticed it. Maybe I don't know. I don't remember when I heard that, but it's
like I remember the first time that I learned what a hooker was. I was like in like third grade, like in third grade, and like I was at my friend's house. We were playing Legos, and there was a piece. It was a real small piece that had a hook on it. And you're sifting through all the Legos, right? And my friend's like, what piece are you looking for? I'm like, one of those little hookers. And he's like, dude, don't say that. My mom will hear you. I was like, what? I was like, it's a hook thing. It's like a hooker. And he's like, do you know what a hooker is? And I was like, no.
You want to hear my funny story about about the word hooker as a kid? We were driving in the car.
Not really? No, okay.
And the radio was on, and the DJ said hooker.
Yeah,
I think, or it might have even been in a song. Either way, the word hooker came on the radio, and it's funny that because I very rarely did this, where I asked my parents like, "What does this mean?" Because I was always whatever. But in this case, I go, "What does that mean? What's a hooker? What is that?" And my mom, who like we never had any talks about anything, was like, it's someone who sells their body. I was like, what? And like in my brain, in my like 8-year-old brain or however old I was picturing like Frankenstein, like, oh, you could sell your arm to a guy who doesn't have an arm. And I was like, what? You can do that? Like you could sell your fingers to people who do get their fingers blown off? Yeah. That's what, and I thought like because I didn't ask for clarification. I think I did. I was like, I asked that, and she was like, just shut up, just stop, stop asking questions. And that's what I thought it was for at least a little while.
That's amazing.
I remember thinking like Frankenstein, like so you could take your leg off and sell it to a guy with no legs. That's wild.
That's wild. Oh shit, that's good, man. All right. What'd you watch?
Just a lot of Frasier, nothing crazy. Right. I watched a couple little indie movies that.
Well, you said you watched Cobweb. I watched Cobweb.
Oh yeah, but I thought that
Cobweb.
was like I did watch Cobweb.
What'd you think of Cobweb?
I dug it. I liked it. It was solid. It was really moody and kind of. Anytime I got bored, like where I was like, where's this going? It would throw a curveball at you, and
really?
Yeah, like I felt like, one of the criticisms we did, what was that alien movie that we did like last week?
No One Will Save You.
No One Will Save You. Our big criticism of that one was that like there's no curveballs. It's just like she fights an alien and then she fights another alien. You know what I mean? Like there's no status quo changes in the movie that like,
right.
you know, um,
Well, there's a big one, but yeah, I know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah. But like even that one doesn't, it doesn't like she's, you know, there's no like right turns in what's going on.
Sure.
And this one really did like make decisions and live with the decisions, you know?
Yeah. Especially like with the parents.
Yeah. Like every 20 minutes, it was like, here's a new thing
Yeah.
that is now a factor in the movie, you know?
Yeah.
And it was cool. I like that it kept you guessing. I'm like, is this a supernatural thing or is it not? Like, what is happening?
I think that was the best part, was that they did keep you guessing as far as what the thing was in the wall. When did this movie come out? Did it come out this year?
Yeah, it came out in July.
Okay.
The same weekend as Barbie and on Oppenheimer.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I watched this. I watched Boogeyman and I watched Smile like in 3 nights, one each night.
Mm-hmm.
And until a couple of days ago, I had trouble like keeping them straight because they are so similar. Smile is a little different, and I think out of the 3, Smile was the better thought out movie. Cobweb and Boogeyman are almost identical. Like, I'm not kidding. As far as like there's a spidery humanoid running around real fast. But Cobweb, since you didn't watch, I think you should watch Boogeyman. I think you might like it. It's not a bad movie. But Cobweb, like, I enjoyed it, but it did the same. I felt the same way as Talk to Me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they had these really cool things to work with and kind of squandered a couple of them. I agree with you what you're saying about the new stuff every so often, and that they, you know, like they owned the decisions and they kept you guessing. But man, you've got the parents. I'm not a big fan of the mom. I forget her name.
Oh, Lizzie Kaplan. I like her a lot.
She's fine. She was a little too like that character that she was, like a little too what's the housewife movie?
Like a shut in, like kind of a nutty.
Yeah.
You know.
But the dad is Homelander from
the whole first half I was like, where the fuck do I know this guy from?
I don't know his name, but it's Homelander.
I forget his name. But that
dude is phenomenal.
Once I figured it out, he was great.
But see, I don't think they did enough with him.
Well, I really liked that at first because she's real
Spoilers,
rough.
By the way, I'm going to spoil some things here.
For what?
For this movie?
Yeah. Spoilers for sure for Cobb. I thought you were going to spoil The Boys. I haven't seen season 3, but I don't.
You haven't seen dude. If you like The Boys, season 3 is just as good as the first 2.
I was on the fence on season 2, and
don't say fool me once.
No, like season 2, I was like, okay, I guess I like that. Okay. It was fine. And then I watched the first episode of season 3, and I was like, I don't know about the show anymore.
Really? I felt the exact same way because I am a completist. I watched the rest, and I'm glad I did. But Homelander, man, that guy is an awesome actor, and he's great. I like that they took him out when they did and how they did, because you don't think that like
you think he's the villain of the movie.
Yeah, and you don't think that the way that he gets, I'm going to dance around it, but you don't think that the way that he gets killed is really going to kill him until it does, and he's just done. He's gone.
Yeah.
Same with the mom, and then all of a sudden the villainy turns to the twist, which is the sister. That's where I kind of was like, this is a little bit of a stretch, because
that's what.
I want to make sure I'm understanding it. Like she is just a kid who was born fucked up, and they kept in the wall.
Yeah,
right?
and they kept her in the walls, and that's why she can kind of climb stuff, and that's why she has long hair.
There's the exposition where she says, you know, they kept me in there, so I had to learn to eat rats and learn to climb on walls, and it's like, really, you learn to run like Spider-Man on the ceiling?
Yeah, I was willing to buy that only because, like, I mean, if you lived in if that was like how, you know, you lived in walls your whole life. But she's
not supernatural, right?
No, she's not.
So then how is she doing that? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was, and I thought she looked cool. My bit, I don't want to say criticism of it. It felt like a little bit like when the kid shows up, like when the home invaders show up, like right after, like it literally felt like, well, we only have 2 characters in this movie, and and only one of them is here, and she's got to kill somebody. So it was just like, we're just gonna have 4 kids show up at the house,
and I'm okay with that. But
which was fine. It just felt
super
a little
strength,
bit like
rip them apart and stuff. when they took the supernatural aspect out of it, it made it feel like, well, then how is she? What is she?
How is she
doing these things?
The big criticism, a lot of people are like, it's great for the first half, and then it goes down the tubes. You know what it kind of reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of like the first half is kind of like Baba, like the vibe, like Babadook, and then the second half is like Conjuring, where it's just like like the second half is like a dime a dozen type horror movie. You know what I mean?
I know you're a big fan of Jaws, as I am, and this is the first time that I've really thought about. I think Jaws. We both agree it's a masterpiece. It's flawless. But the only criticism I've ever heard is that once you revealed the shark, then it kind of takes, no pun intended, the teeth out of the movie, which I totally disagree.
I disagree with.
But this is one of those instances where once we see the shark, it does take the teeth out of this movie, I think.
Once you see her face,
just once she's revealed, it's like she's out now, and now we have an unexplainable evil.
Well, they did do the like soft reveal. Like it wasn't like, okay, she's out now, and now you could see what it reminded me of. Like, it's funny, the thing I always think of is the first Ninja Turtle movie, where it's like, like there's this the opening scene where they're kicking everybody, where they're kicking ass. It's a reveal, but it's not like you can barely see them. You know what I mean? And like you're trying to see them, and then RoboCop's a better example. The first time they show RoboCop, it's a lot of him walking around. Like it's from his point of view, and then it's a lot of like
back the fog by the foggy glass. Yeah, that's awesome.
They're showing it from all the cops' perspective.
Yeah,
of him walking, and so like he's walking, and then right before he's gonna come into frame, like he goes in front of a fence, or like then there's a wall, and like you don't see him fully walk out until like when he
steps out of the car.
He gets the car. Well, he gets the keys.
Yeah. I'm not talking. I mean, I agree.
But that's they didn't really. Once they showed her face, I was like, oh, that's rough. That's
like
exactly.
It was a cartoon,
like, scary face,
and just the character in general. It was like once she was out of the box, it was like that's why I want you to watch Boogeyman, because I won't spoil Boogeyman for you, but similar thing going on in Boogeyman, but it's a supernatural thing, so you don't need these answers because anything goes. But with this, they make a point to give this girl exposition where she's talking to her brother about what she is. And it's like, okay, you're just a sister that was born fucked up and you're shutting the wall for your life. Then you should actually be the opposite of what you are. You should be weak. You should be frail. You should be malnourished. Instead, she's like this demon, superpowered demon. So
it was a lot to take out, like that late in the movie too, Yeah. Like there wasn't any supernatural stuff really going on until
I tell you what, though, that scene, the dream scene with the parents, where the dad's in the room and she comes running, that was a great, terrifying image scene. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
There's good stuff.
It was solid, man. I'd give it a B, B minus, I guess.
I'd go C plus. C plus. It's worth a watch. It definitely is. But I'd like to talk about Boogeyman next week if you get the hankering for it. Where does that leave us?
Did that come out this year?
Yeah, Boogeyman.
I feel like there's a million movies called The Boogeyman.
I feel like there's definitely at least one others.
I hate that title.
Yeah,
I really hate it.
And it doesn't work for this movie. It's a really bad title for this movie once you see it. So, but it's not a terrible movie. Smile's another one we should do. We can do that later on, but I think that's it. What'd you watch? That's it. Good.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
All right, man. So you had letter Y. It's a tough letter. We've exhausted our
one last thing on Cobweb. Did you feel like the movie just kind of ended like almost prematurely?
Yeah, it was like, let's wrap this up. What do we do? Put her.
Well, it's just like, well, you're not like, I'm gonna be stuck down here. You're not gonna be able to keep me here. End of movie.
With exposition saying, like the ghost of Tom Joad, like wherever you are, I'll be. And it's like,
it was just off. I mean, I at least wanted like a Die Hard ending where it was like they show the cops outside.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah,
it was a really bad.
Never going to be able to. He's going to go tell the cops what happened, and like,
they're going to
find this fucking thing in the basement. Yeah, it's not. You know, like
But then it kill what? It's going to kill them all and then be loose. I don't know.
maybe I guess, but like at least you know.
More cobwebs.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it
Were there
was
cobwebs even in this movie?
yeah, there were when they lock him in the basement.
All
That's
right.
the other thing I did really like about it was it did a good job of like the parents were nutty
Yeah.
and they weren't good people. You know what I mean? Like they do lock them in the basement and they did lock their first kid in the walls. Like so like by the time like you know they do the reveal, like you think like okay, they're the bad guys of the
Yeah.
movie, you know, and then it's like well they weren't wrong, you know, they're Lebowski, you know.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're just an asshole. Like maybe you should have locked that thing in the walls, but you know.
Yeah. All right. Letter Y. It's tough. We've exhausted our horror movie choices for the letter Y, at least vintage horror.
Mhm.
So Kevin chose young, and we did Young Frankenstein already. So Young Sherlock Holmes.
It was between this and Young Einstein.
We'll do Young Guns next season.
Yeah, or Young Guns, but yeah, it was
Whatever.
have you've seen Young Einstein, right?
It's been a long time.
Okay, yeah.
I'd like to. I'd
I
like to
watched it a lot in
revisit it.
college.
I know you said last episode.
But this one
Young Sherlock
I had
Holmes.
never seen. I had always heard of it though.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that. So before I get your reaction, 1985, Barry Levinson directed, Chris Columbus written, Steven Spielberg produced. This thing has a pedigree. Unfortunately, they didn't factor into it. We'll get there. Nicholas Rowe, is that his name?
Yeah.
Plays Sherlock. And there's a bunch of British actors you'll recognize.
I didn't recognize anybody.
Really? You didn't
Not one
recognize some of there were a couple Harry Potter people.
I've never seen Harry Potter.
What the fuck? So this movie is credited, the big to do about this movie is it's credited for the first fully CGI character ever created. And that's the stained glass knight, which rewatching this, I haven't seen this since I was 10 years old, probably. And which means when it came out about. So I remembered all the visual effects. That's what stuck with me. And that's what made me go, oh, this movie's awesome. How did you feel about it, the movie?
I thought the plot was pretty wild. Just that like it was this cult that is just dosing people into murdering and like tricking them into murdering people, you know, like or like killing themselves.
Yeah.
That was okay. By the end, I thought it kind of ran out of gas. But it was okay. You know, like I don't think I would have liked it as a kid.
Really?
I don't know if I would have. I mean, I think if I would have like caught it on HBO, I might have liked it, but like I don't know what it was. It was like there was something missing from it.
There's a lot missing from this.
I mean, like
movie.
there's like that Spielberg spark isn't there.
No,
that Chris
not.
Columbus spark, Barry Levinson, all those guys make movies that have this like energy to them. Like Barry Levinson made Rain Man, and you know, like
I looked at
didn't he make the Natural? Like his filmography is fucking nuts.
It is, I guess, but I intentionally looked him up to see what I enjoyed of his, and I really, out of all his movies, I really only like The Natural, Good Morning Vietnam, and Rain Man. The rest of them,
another banger in there. I gotta look.
I mean, he does critically. He's got a lot. He's got Wag the Dog. He's got
Wag the Dog's awesome.
I haven't seen that since it came out, so I'd have to check it out.
I just watched it like a month ago.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good. Oh, he did a lot of that's what when I looked him up, he did a lot of really good HBO movies.
Oh yeah, the Kevorkian. Did he do Kevorkian? Jack?
You don't know Jack, the one where with Al Pacino. That one's really, really good.
Is it?
I think he did the Phil Spector one too, which is really good. Did. There's another one that it was like, oh, he did Envy, which is like people that's like a big like people talk about how bad that movie is.
Really?
And I don't think it's as bad as people say.
I just don't think after Rain Man, he doesn't have any other natural Good Morning Vietnam, Rain Man. He doesn't
nothing like that. He did do the Paterno, like a couple of years ago. He did Paterno, which was good, and then he did the movie he did last year. Is it 21? The Survivor. That movie's awesome.
Really?
It's Ben Foster. It's a Holocaust movie. Yeah, you know Ben Foster. He
is he Ben Foster? Oh yeah. He's Angel.
He's Angel in X-Men 3. Yeah.
Well, he's also
he's a character actor. He's in a lot of really great stuff.
He does good stuff. He was in the Last House on the Left that I just watched.
Was he's also in what's that vampire movie with the 30 Days a Night? He's in a lot of like really he's in much better movies than the more bring it up like it's like he's in X-Men 3 and that fucking vampire movie.
I mean, he's been in some shitty movies, but yeah, I know who he is.
The Survivor is a Holocaust movie where he plays a boxer and it's a good movie. He plays a boxer who basically has to fight like to be like, we're not going to kill that one. He keeps winning.
Oh, really?
Like, okay. Yeah, it's a very good movie. Yeah, he's great. Anyway,
I just feel like I feel like Levinson might be a little bit overrated riding on the. I mean, Good Morning Vietnam, The Natural, and Rain Man are like
sleepers.
That's
a good one.
Sleepers.
I like Sleepers. Disclosure's good.
That might be one of the that and Last Samurai are the two biggest disappointments of my life.
I love Last Samurai.
But the movie, it had a budget of 18 million. It only made 19 in the States, made 63 worldwide. So
sorry.
It was like, it was a downer as far as box office went. But
yeah,
I do remember it being a big thing for kids anyway in the 80s. But I'm nominated for an Oscar for visual effects. Which puts it on the board. But I just felt like it was the guy who plays Sherlock was just asleep, and
I thought he was okay, but I've never been a Sherlock guy. Like,
well, have you ever watched? I was gonna ask, like, who's your Sherlock if you have one?
Benedict Cumberbatch, I guess.
You like those?
I liked the first season. That's another show, like how we were talking about Westworld on the Patreon
on Patreon,
yeah. Like that's another show where it's like I watched season 1, I'm like, I think this is really good, and then just like Walking Dead or any other show where season 2 starts, you're like, oh no, this show's really stupid. Like I immediately knew, like season 2 started, I'm like, oh, this sucks. I was wrong.
It's great. I think it's solid all the way through, man.
The Sherlock show?
Yeah, especially because of him. But that's the thing. When
I think he's very good on it, but it just anyway.
When you have Benedict Cumberbatch's or even Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock in your head, this guy is asleep. Like this guy is nothing. And it's like the whole movie was like that. And there were things where it was like, I kept going like, Barry Levinson directed this. I think he's just not an action guy. He's a drama guy. And this is a adventure piece. It should have been.
Yeah.
This should have launched like a trilogy. They wanted to, especially.
Yeah. Yeah. They do the Skeletor ending at the end.
Yeah.
But like,
I'll be back.
But what about, you know what it felt? This movie felt like Dead Poet Society. Like, but with like a murder in there, like.
Do you not like Dead Poet Society?
I do like but it's not an action movie. I mean, I think it's a little melodramatic, but it's fine. I like it. Fine. Yeah. I think it's a little overrated, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it felt like one of those movies, like I don't know, like a School Ties or one of those,
when you put in the ending, as the credits are rolling, right before the credits roll, they give this weird PSA thing that says something about Arthur Conan Doyle in his stories.
Yeah.
We took liberties introducing Sherlock and Watson as kids, whereas Doyle didn't do that. He introduced them as adults. And I'm like, why do you feel you need to put
they do it at the beginning of the movie too. They have they do it twice.
When you put that up against the rest of the movie,
to me, like but they did that because Chris Columbus was really weird about it. Like he wanted permission from the family, and he was really afraid that it was going to be looked at as he's writing, another chapter in, like he's dismissing what we talk about all the time with David Gordon Green, how it's like, fuck that sucked. What I'm going to do is good. Like,
right.
He really didn't, he wanted it. He really was worried about that.
I get that.
People thinking it was, he was being disrespectful to.
Why are you doing it in the first place? And if you are doing it, you obviously got permission. So when you put that up against the rest of the movie, it makes sense why they have so many scenes where they do these classic Sherlock tropes, like the game is afoot, and they make sure it's almost like they pause and like, look what I just said. I just said the game's afoot. That's a Sherlock thing. And it's like There's so many things like that in this movie.
Oh, he gets the hat and like stuff like in
Yeah,
the
and
pipe,
the pipe and
you know.
which you should have. I want to see him getting those, but they do it in a way that's like, look,
Oh,
it's Sherlock.
see, we're in the exact opposite
I
spot
know.
where I'm the one where it's like, fuck off. That's the yeah, like oh, you said
It was
the
just
thing.
the way that they did it. It's not that they did it. It's the way
It didn't really bother me at all. I thought each one kind of felt natural. I felt like when he gets the hat, he's like, oh, this looks silly and tosses it, you know, like, but you know, like none of
really
them bothered me, you know.
some really bad acting too. Like there was like some like a lot of the old timey crotchety professor people that are all like there was one dude who was like up on top of a building going like literally like tut 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 he'll never be able to win the trophy, and another one where like almost everybody who shot a dart, like the bad guys, I mean there's a better way to do it. They were literally like whenever one of the evil dudes shot a dart out of the tubes, they were literally just like static. There's a better pull the camera out. That's why my focus on this is Barry Levinson. Pull the camera out, give a little context of what these people look like, where they're hiding, and a little. It was just really poorly bad.
Well, that was one of my big criticisms with it too. Is that like they figure out that it's like this because essentially, he gets kicked out of school. Sherlock gets kicked out of school, and then there's these also that all these murders look like suicide. So he's the only one that thinks that, you know, there's something going on. So he's taking it on himself to solve these. But they figure out that it's this like crazy cult, like halfway through the movie, and they go before all of this. They go to the cop, who I guess is a character in the books too, and tell him like, hey, I think these are murderers, and the cop's like, you know, tells him to fuck off basically, and then eventually like, oh, listens to him and solves it. But they find out halfway through the movie that it's like a cult, and that they're the one, like they figure it out, but they don't tell him. Like they still are like still trying to like solve stuff.
Mike Tobacco, man.
I mean, they should just go right to the cops and be like, hey, there's a cult, and it's all here. Here's where they are. Yeah. Like they don't move their base or anything.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a lot of stuff that has to do with the revelation of, like in Sherlock specifically, his revelation of that there is a cult. Like they're talking to the guy who it's one of the last guys on their list. They're like, oh, he's the only one left. We got to go talk to him. We got to go. He's like, obviously this cult is going to go after this guy, and he's the last one. So we need to go to him. So they go to him, and while they're talking to him, one of these dudes again, he's just in the corner. He goes, boop, shoots him with his blowgun. The dude gets hit in the neck with the dart and goes like, oh, damn, Bugs. Yeah. While Sherlock is telling him there's people out there shooting people in the neck. And it doesn't occur to Sherlock that he just got shot in the neck. And I'm like, until he falls over, and I'm like, what is happening here? Like, what are we doing?
Well, there were a lot of things I was actually willing to like, because it's young Sherlock Holmes. I could like, okay, well, he's young. He doesn't know. Like the part where he's like, I got to go get a better look when they're looking at the cult through the thing. And he just goes down there and he sees they're about to like sacrifice this girl. And he just yells like, no, don't do it. She's alive. Like, what are you doing? Now you have 40 like cult guys chasing you.
Yeah.
Like, but I attributed that to he's 16 or he's however, you know, like he's not the master fucking detective yet, you know.
This is Spielberg's hand in this is somewhere. He said, make it like Indiana Jones. You know, there's a heavy Temple of Doom vibe, and there's also a heavy young Indiana Jones vibe. And
I think it needed more Goonies. Like, you know, it needed a more like.
I didn't get any Goonies flavor.
That's what I mean. It needed more.
Oh, it needed more.
It needed that spark like that. Yeah. And I mean, he had worked with Chris Columbus. Like he had two. I think. Hang on. He had done Goonies, and with like Chris Columbus wrote Goonies, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he had written it because Donner directed it. I'm pretty sure he directed. I think so. They had it there, and then he did it again with Gremlins, or I don't know what order that is. But Chris Columbus wrote Gremlins, and Spielberg produced it, and like,
right,
you know, they were on a roll,
which was the year before. right? Right
Yeah.
before.
And I get the whole like, all right, we're gonna, yeah, fucking this as the flying machine made it feel like this seems like a really cool movie. Like what
Yeah.
is missing from this movie?
That's why I say, as a kid, this was awesome. As a kid, I think you would have really liked it, because you don't see the things that we're complaining about as a kid.
Yeah, I get, but like the plot, I don't know. Remind me of Toy Soldier. You ever seen Toy Soldiers?
Yeah,
that's a movie that I saw as a kid and was like, this is my kind of movie, man.
Yeah.
Like, where it's like mercenaries come and we could use that in this movie. Like,
yeah. Oh, Toy Soldiers. Oh, I see what you're.
That's with like Sean Astin.
I thought you were talking about
the
one. What's the other one where they're actual toys? Little.
Oh, that's Small Soldiers.
Small.
Directed by Joe Dante.
Figure it out. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, Toy Soldiers is a movie about a prep school that gets.
I remember that.
Like it has a lot more to do with it.
Right.
But
all this said, all complaints aside, it's got some good effects because it's practical. It's stop motion. The Crypt Keeper and the zombies in the graveyard.
Yeah,
that was a cool scene.
And
he's like chipping away at the headstone and laughing. That was awesome.
And because I knew that the night was, because that's come up in like fucking like probably 5 or 6 documentaries I've seen that shot.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, John Lasseter was in charge of it.
Yeah.
And like, and it's one of the first like Pixar, what became the Pixar group. Sure. That was their first thing. Besides, so knowing that was like the first computer whatever
CGI.
Yeah, in anything. That made me think there's so many shots in this movie where I'm like, how do they do that? Like there's a ton of them where it's like, well, if that's practical, how do they, like the flying machine I eventually figured out.
What did you figure out about it? Just
in most of the shots. Yeah, in most of the shots, you like there's some part of the thing that's off screen.
Right. It does look good though when it's flying.
It looks great. And there's a lot of good setup and payoff. Like it's a competent movie. It's fine.
I guess. It's just
there's just something. I don't know if it's that the kids aren't like charismatic enough, or if they're like.
In fact, Watson. I couldn't help but see Sweeney. What the hell's her name from SNL? What's her name?
Julia Sweeney.
Julia Sweeney looks exactly like Watson, and I was just like, "Fuck off!"
That was the other thing that kind of bugged me was like the opening scene where they meet, and he goes, "Okay, your name is this," and he like. Your name is this. You're from here. You like this kind of like he basically nails almost all of it, right? And I was like, and then there's a couple more scenes of him doing that, where, like he does on the Sherlock TV show too, where he's like, piecing everything together based on just deduction of reason, all that stuff. And he kind of stops doing that by the end of the movie. You know what I mean? Like it's less like. Those shoes are from this, and you can't get those here. So that's why it's a lot of like, well, we should go talk to this guy. It becomes more, I don't know.
Yeah.
It becomes more Scooby-Doo than Sherlock Holmes.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, it does. That's a good example or a good comparison, I think. And it's just the way the delivery of this movie, whether it's Levinson's delivery or the actor's delivery, it's just like. And do you know how I figured it out? It's like, wake up, man! Like, do something. Have some charisma. Like,
yeah. And it's a bummer too because there were so many, like, talented kid actors around this time too. That like, I mean, I know they needed British ones, but
sure.
And I mean, it was fine. Like, whatever. I'd give it.
Yeah.
I'll never think about it again. Like that's it. Like I'm not surprised it because back in the day, like a movie would survive on word of mouth.
Right.
Like the Goonies might not have made $1 million opening weekend, but people would talk about it, and then other people would go see it, and I could totally see people being like, "Oh yeah, you see that Young Sherlock Holmes?" Like, yeah, blah.
It doesn't have the charm.
It's just missing something.
When you look at a movie that's like directed by Levinson, written by Columbus, produced by Spielberg, there's an expectation. Even then in 85, there was an expectation.
Yeah.
So to like deliver this, it's like, what were you guys shooting for? Like,
I think Spielberg was sleeping on this one because it's missing
took a little for granted. Yeah.
It's just missing the
charm.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't be surprised if you dove in and found out that he was definitely the least involved.
Yeah,
and
just put his name on it.
Yeah. I mean, like Poltergeist has that charm. You know what I mean? Like it's just that. It's that. I don't know. Yeah. It's that vibe. Yeah. And maybe it's because they're British and it's in the 1880s, but maybe it's harder to. It's winter time. It's harder to get.
Please, sir, may I have some more? If you haven't seen it, I think it's worth a watch. But revisiting it, it was disappointing. Anything else on this? What else?
No.
All right. So next week, letter Z. Right?
Yeah,
letter
you have Z.
All right. So Z next week. I have the letter Z. It's a tough letter, I guess, but I guess for the horror diehard, not even diehard, the zombie Italian movies are they're people love them. I have mixed feelings about them, but Kevin's never seen them.
I've never seen them, and I've seen the poster a million times. It's bad. Both Zombie and Zombie 3 have badass posters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll check them out.
We're gonna do next week. It'll be our last show before Halloween. So next week is gonna be our Halloween extravaganza palooza Halloween episode next week. We're gonna do a What'd You Watch of Trick or Treat, 2007's Trick or Treat, and we're going to do the letter Z, Zombie, which will wrap up our alphabet.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? That's a big show. That'd be a big special Halloween treat for everybody.
Yeah.
Especially because you haven't seen either of those, and that's I haven't seen Zombie in a long time, but Trick or Treat is in my regular rotation, so I'm excited.
A lot of people I've talked to put it. I think your brother puts it in his top of all time.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to hype it up too much because I know, there might be a Crunch Bar in there or something. But all right. So next week for letter Z, Trick or Treat and Zombie, 1979. And then after that, following episode after that will be our end of season. That'll wrap up the season awards show, best and worst. I'm looking forward to that. That's always fun.
Yeah, this has been a nutty season.
It has. It really has. So join us for next week as we wrap up the alphabet. Make sure you check out the Patreon, patreon.com/deathbypodcast, where we have our bonus second podcast, BoomTube TV. We did Simpsons Treehouse of Horror this week, and I'm giving away 2 of my hand sculpted resin cast Chud Baby figures to the first person that joins our Patreon this week, and then one of our patrons that's been there for the long haul. So I'm giving away 2 of them. And that's it. Are you satisfied?
Yeah.
All right, I'm glad. I'm your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
It's another time. Kevin, what are you saying?
Shut the fuck up.
Too bad we don't have another horror movie with James Woods to pick.
He's got to have another one.
You think so? We'll find it. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week as we wrap up the alphabet. Letter Z, Trick or Treat, and Zombie. See you guys.